Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm a bit nervous about starting this reading. Scorpio, your energy is huge. Your reading is huge. It's off my table and on the floor. Okay, Scorpios, you seem to be very much in your power in August. This is the reading from now going into August. So, okay, where do I even start? In the underlying already, you've got things like the Panther Spirit, reclaim your power, the Priestess, which is your card, right? The High Priestess energy. You've got this kind of this thing about kind of like protected knowledge, which again feels very, very High Priestessy. This is just your underlying. We're not even like getting into it yet. Funnily enough, you've got the same cards as Libra on the underlying, Panther Spirit, Otter Spirit. Now I put all the cards away, shuffled. These have ended up on the underlying again. So yeah, you and Libra, your energy seem very, very, oh my god, so funny. Sorry, this is funny to me, mouse underneath that. You and Libra have got something going on here. You feel like you're the flip side of Libra. You feel like you're the yin to their yang or their yang to their yin, vice versa. It's like it's like you're complete opposites but completely complementary. This is the way it's coming through. I don't know why it's coming through with you and Libra. Maybe you're dating a Libra. Maybe you've got the Scorpio moon, Libra sun or something like this, but there's a real yin yang situation going on here. Yeah, it really feels like flip side, which is interesting to me because some of you may have heard me talk about like my animus. Now this is a Freudian, you've got the philosopher here. This is like a Freudian philosophy thing about, you know, our light and shadow. Our light is the way we want to be perceived, our persona. Our animus is things that feel a bit wrong to us, where we, you know, and it could be so many different things. It can be where we disempower ourselves, where we feel a bit wrong, all this kind of stuff. The part of ourselves that we push back and deny, and it's still a part of ourselves, but I'm seeing 222 on the timestamp, but it's kind of like the flip side of us, right? The mirror image of us. So, and I always talk about this kind of like plutonic dragon that is like my animus. It's protective, it's not a bad thing, and this is why the panther's here. Again, the panther and the dragon, both quite similar energies to me. The panther's a bit more of like this realm. It talks to me personally about your intuition based on your experiences. So say for example, every time you walked into a room with blue walls, somebody punched you in the face. Eventually you're going to be a bit cautious about walking into a room with blue walls, right? You're going to be a bit more aware of your surroundings. You're going to be like, oh, hang on, I've been in this situation before. And so it doesn't have to literally be a room with blue walls, but it's like you learn from experience, right? Your intuition starts to say, hang on, red flags, this feels familiar, this, you know, this didn't work out well last time, so we're going to kind of like self-protect. So that's on the one hand. The other thing Scorpios. Okay, the other thing going on in the underlying, I could just show you this whole row. Oh my god, straddling worlds as well, and luminous warrior. Like, you've got this like half in, half out, like two timelines collapsing into each other, or like some kind of portal of like two realms with a portal, and you're on one side. I'm gonna say it doesn't have to be Libra, by the way. It could be also Cancerian, but you've got a lot of stuff like justice, beauty. Libra's ruled by Venus. There's another kind of Venus looking card on the floor, which I'll show you in a bit. It's kind of like a bit like Botticelli's Venus, and just the similarity of the two readings, like, because I was talking in Libra's reading about, it felt like they had like a Scorpio mum. I do have a Scorpio mum. My dad had a Scorpio Mars placement as well, I think. So it's kind of like these heavy hitters, right? This Scorpio heavy hitter energy is like, oh, you don't want to upset my parents, you know, that kind of thing. And they've got Scorpio in the chart. Like Wobita, I'm getting that pat on my back again. Hello. So if you don't know what that is, if you've not watched my other readings, I think it's a new guide. As I'm saying, it was 444 on the timestamp. And it just feels like I'm getting this pat on my back, or that this hand resting on my back, like supportively. It keeps on coming in, especially when I'm doing readings. So Hi there. Okay. Like, let's try and focus. So, Scorpio, you're coming in again very, very strongly with this dragon energy. Now, it doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody around you. But this feels like you, right? It feels like you're the watcher watching Libra. You've got some of the same cards as Libra as well. This is the thing. It's like you're watching Libra is the way it's coming through. Like, there's this, it's like this connection. And again, I'm going to say Libra just for the sake of labeling things so you know who's who, but you can absolutely flip it and reverse it. If it's a different sign for you, absolutely go ahead and do that. Let's call it the princess, the moon princess. So you're coming through as the dragon, right? And you're watching the moon princess, or flip it and reverse it if needs be, but I can't keep saying that. So and then the next card was this, the Father Gate, bold step forward. So it's almost like, I mean, you could be the moon princess, right? Like the high priestess is like the priestess of the moon. And it's like, it's time now to face this. It could be facing your own shadow, right? Facing your own shadow, facing your own anima, your own animus. It's like this bold step forward. It's like it's time now to start moving. It's time to start this journey. It's time to go on this adventure and like step forward. And as soon as you step forward, it's like this guardian appears, like, right, like looms out of the shadow, and it's like, it's here. But it's not bad. Can you see she's reaching out a friend? It's kind of like Daenerys, you know, Daenerys and her dragon. So like it's an extension of you, perhaps. So then again, it's like bold step forward, movement. So it's like the first step is the hardest one to take, right? But as soon as you take that step forward, you have movement. And then flow as well. It's like as soon as you take that first step, there's going to be movement and it's just going to flow. It's going to be easy. The first step is the hardest, right? It makes me think of that. It's one of the Italian songs. It translates to the first step is the hardest, like Il Primo Bolio, I think it is, something like that. I think it's After Hours. Could be Marta Sui To Be as well. I put a lot of the music on at the same time, so it's one or the other. Yeah, the first jump is the hardest, I think it is. Like Volio, like vaulting, I guess, is it? Or the first wish. I don't know. I'm bad at Italian. I keep trying. Okay, right. Right. Where do I start? Let's go to my notes. So before I even pulled any cards, basically as soon as I finished Libra's reading, I was getting this sort of phrase in my head. It felt like it was something that someone might say. And I thought to myself, that is so Scorpio. I know like sometimes Scorpio has a bit of a religion theme in the readings. Again, being the high priestess, I guess. So the concept of religion and what is your religion? Is it a mainstream religion? Do you have difficulty with mainstream religion? All these kind of questions. Like, it's again the philosophers coming out, because I want to say this, it's all an aspect of you. It's like you're both, you're the dragon and the moon princess. Just like how I'm like Libra, but I'm also that my own animus, right? It's like within me. So it's like you're the philosopher, right? So this idea of kind of like philosophy, like unraveling, questioning things, and also like Scorpio asking really like esoteric questions, like life or death type questions, is really the realm of Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. So I heard these words, and it was almost like a slogan, but like a satirical slogan, like it might be on like a bumper sticker or something, and it was religion where knowledge is a bad thing. Because if you think about like the tree of knowledge, right? I think it's sometimes called the tree of life or the tree of knowledge. I may be mixing up the two, but it's kind of like the whole thing about when Adam and Eve ate the apple, it gave them knowledge, right? So the symbolism of the apple being symbolic of knowledge. And then what's really interesting to me is like, after I'd heard this, the underlying of my deck is the apple. So this is what came out, the moon and the princess and the book and the raven. They came out together like this. And I feel like it's the two, right? And again, it could be two aspects of yourself, your persona, and then your anima or animus, depending on how you see gender and things like that. I think it's more complicated now, but than kind of when Jung was writing his philosophies. But the moon princess and the book raven, I feel like the book raven is kind of the the dragon energy. It's kind of like raven, dragon, panther, this kind of black kind of shadow knowledge, kind of like maybe even a bit devilish, right? And then the moon princess, which feels like high priestessy. Again, we could be talking about a Cancerian or a Pisces, but just look at the kind of the figure that's on here as well, like the moon princess. So yeah, this slogan, religion where knowledge is a bad thing, and like the idea of kind of like, as soon as I mentioned this to my eldest, they were like, that sounds like a see you later, Toby. If you acronym, right? See you later, Toby. She was like, that sounds like a see you later, Toby. And I was like, right. It does, doesn't it? Where they don't want you to know things. They just want you to kind of do what they say. Yeah, it does sound like that. Now, again, I'm not out here to kind of like poo-poo any major world religions. Obviously, these are big, powerful entities. They do a lot of good in the world. Like, they help a lot of people. Sometimes they're also very harmful. I'm not here to get into a debate about that. That's for the philosophy class, right? But again, this idea of kind of like questioning it. It's like questioning it. Like, why didn't God want Adam and Eve to have knowledge? Right? Why did he want to keep them stupid? I don't know. It seems weird when you question it, right? And again, it's not me saying this so much as what I heard when I tapped into your energy. You do get a lot of this. So the next thing I got for you was actually before, sorry, I keep doing this thing where I shout. Before I get into that, I'm going to skip a little bit because I'll come back to this, but you did get the name, well, you did get David Tennant, the actor David Tennant, 2 times. One was a quote that I got that I'll talk about in a bit, and the other reference to David Tennant was just before I did your reading, someone on that I follow on Twitter kind of like linked to an Instagram picture of David Tennant. So David Tennant's come through twice. So this idea of kind of like satire, religion as a theme, David Tennant, I am aware, and sometimes I do predict TV shows, but there's Good Omens, the TV show, and it came from a novel, right? So the book Raven. The story, The Good Omens, season 2 is out around this time. So your whole reading could just be the plot of Good Omens. But I don't know. I've only watched season 1. I haven't watched season 2 yet. But again, definitely I can see this concept of light and dark, right? So the 2 main characters, one's an archangel, I think, and the other one is an angel, and David Tennant's character is like a demon. But they're kind of like best friends, and they're not meant to be, right? It's kind of like they kind of have to keep it a secret, kind of a bit embarrassed about it, but they're besties. So again, this idea of like balancing each other out, I guess, yin yang kind of thing. So it could just be that. Okay, the next thing I got for you was, I don't know if you can conjure this image mentally, but you know Morticia Addams from the Addams Family. It's funny as well because people used to say that my mum looked like her when she was younger. She had this like jet black raven hair, and my mum was a Scorpio, so it does make me think of her. But there's a meme of what's her name now? She's a really famous actress. Oh, her name has gone out my head. I'm so sorry. Angelica Houston. There we go. Angelica as well, right? She's named Angelica, Angel. And yet she's playing this kind of like goth character. So again, that interplay with light and dark. But I saw Angelica Houston, and it's this meme where she's like stirring a little teacup, and she looks really smug. And I had this feeling of you like sipping your tea as chaos happens around you. There's another meme that's like that. It's like drinking the coffee while everything's on fire. But you had this kind of like, it was almost this smug side eye, like, I told you so, or like watching it play out. It makes me think as well of Mean Girls, you know, when Regina George has, yes, that is exactly what it feels like. Regina George, when she posts the pictures of the book up all around school, and it's like absolute chaos around her, but she's just stood there like at the top of the steps looking really smug and being like, ha, like watching the chaos unfold that she's started. So you're feeling like you're instigating a tower moment is the way it's coming through, which again, just verifying my high priestess skills, which I think I'm getting from you, if I'm quite honest. The Tower was on the underline of the deck. So you had two of the things I was seeing, the Apple King and the Tower. So there you go. But again, like, look at these. It's like the High Priestess means like all knowing, right? Knowing but not saying. Like, I don't know, something about her expression. And then this King of Cups, which is also a Scorpio card, he's like sat there. It's like, you know, sat there laid back, drinking his wine, kind of enjoying the fallout of the Tower. So yeah, I've wrote popcorn, watching it all play out. Somebody else had this thing about popcorn. Let me just go back and see if I can see who had that. Grab the popcorn. Gemini had this grab the popcorn, gossip, drama, indulging in something not good for you because it's fun. So I don't know if you and a Gemini are up to mischief, but it had this feeling of, or you're starting the Tower. When I say the Tower moment, it's kind of like instigating chaos, right? Like something with a big impact. There's going to be drama. But you seem to have started it. So I had, yeah, you've got this kind of like, I told you so feeling about it. It was making me think with popcorn as well. It was making me think of IT Crowd. There's this picture of him grabbing the popcorn, and there's this picture of him kind of like, there's a fire extinguisher on fire at one point. I can't remember his name. But someone could work in IT, or you could work in an office. I heard my work here is done. Again, it's this energy of kind of like, haha, my work here is done. It's kind of like Loki. It's like, well, mission complete, dust in your hands, you know, like everything's on fire around you. I heard, I felt this kind of cat amongst the pigeons energy. And again, it was almost like I was really getting this like office environment for you. It could just be like a workplace or a classroom. And the idea of you throwing the cat amongst the pigeons, and the pigeons being like your co-workers, right? Or your classmates. And the cat amongst the pigeons, it's like, I'm hearing you threw a bear into the ring. It's like, it feels like you said something. Again, a bit like Regina George putting the diary around the school, right? It's like you accidentally let something slip, accidentally on purpose, right? You left an email open for everybody to see. You know, you spoke to someone and mentioned something casually to them, knowing that they were going to go and mention it to someone else who's going to mention it to someone else. Yeah, you've got this kind of ruffling feathers, like intentionally ruffling feathers. But then I had this feeling of like, it feels like, I don't know if this applies to you or not. Again, if it doesn't apply, maybe check out your other placements. Your Moon, your Mars, your Venus, these could all apply very, very strongly for you at the moment. Whatever energy normally resonates, go and check out the other readings if this isn't working, because a lot of the time people watch for their sun sign, and your sun sign is really only first impressions, how you present to the world. Your moon sign is what you like behind closed doors, right? Like your secret self, like your private self. So that could resonate more strongly. And then Venus is how you love. Your Mars placement is how you take action, what motivates you, what makes you angry. So really, if you're watching readings just based on your sun sign, it might not resonate, right? It's like very surface level. So again, if it's not resonating, go deeper. If you haven't checked out your birth chart, I think I've still got a link in my description box down below that'll take you to a free birth chart service. It's very complicated, but all you really need to do is look at your major placements, and then kind of, yeah, you'll figure it out as you go along. Don't get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information there. And again, it's free. And if you don't want to use that website, I'm not affiliated in any way. It's just the website I use. But if you want to go and look for your own website that feels better for you, you can absolutely do that. So yeah, but I heard the pigeons needed a scare. Someone else had this thing about, because you've got the cat amongst the pigeons, and someone had this thing about putting the cat back in the box. Let me just see if that was Gemini as well. No, it wasn't. Who had putting the cat back in the box? I don't remember who had it. Someone had that. It was like Schrodinger's cat. Oh, it was Virgo. It's like, oh, we won't talk about that again. let's put that secret back into the skeleton closet and just pretend we never saw it. Not everybody's reacting like that, I want to say. So this idea, the pigeons needed a scare. It's the idea of kind of, again, maybe something going on in the office. Maybe people are a little bit too settled. I had the feeling of maybe people are up to no good. It's kind of the way it came through is like maybe people are stealing office supplies, right? You're like, why are we going through so many staplers? We don't need to go through that many staplers. It's like because people are taking them home. So you know something's going on. You know some people are taking stuff from the office that they shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be this exact scenario. You can switch it and it could apply to many different things. I'm just giving you one example. But it's like you don't know who, right? So there's something rotten in the state of Scorpio's workplace, but you don't know who it is. So you've got the feeling of like, well, if I just say, oh yeah, the CCTV like has this place covered, the supply closet's obviously covered by the CCTV. Even if it's not, it's like the people who have been doing the thing that they shouldn't be doing are gonna panic, right? Their feathers are gonna get ruffled, and you'll be able to tell by the way they behave who's been doing the naughty thing. And even if you don't call them out on it, you're still having fun watching them panic, is the way it's coming through. So like the ones who haven't been doing anything wrong obviously don't have anything to worry about, right? They'll just be like, oh really, okay, I hope you catch whoever's been doing it, kind of thing. But it's like the ones who have got something to hide are going to act shifty, or do you know what I mean? Like you're being quite clever, really. So but then as I saw this, I saw a white feather and my mum's angel wing. So let me just kind of show you. So I looked across and these two little things jumped out at me. So it was like, you're not being a devil, right? It's not, you're not doing this to be cruel. You're doing this for a good purpose. Again, it could be because if people keep stealing office supplies, it has a detrimental effect on the business. Like they're the ones being devils. So you actually calling them out and kind of making this panic, it's good. There you go, working together. I didn't know that was there. And then the Wheel of Fortune, right? So yeah, exactly, you're doing it for a good reason, because it's like you should be working together here, and you'll be able to see who works well together and who's you know, putting spokes in that wheel and stopping it from turning. You should have spokes in the wheel, putting sticks in the wheel and stopping it turning, right? Or stealing the spokes. Yeah, so you're doing it for a good reason. Then I heard the devils. I kept on hearing things. The devils will out themselves, is what I heard. So it's like, again, you seem like you're instigating something. Again, I don't know how exactly. It's like you're kind of triggering this fluster, because yeah, it's like people are going to trip themselves up. They're going to say something wrong. You know, they're going to, the behavior is like they'll show the true colors, something like that. Then I heard, mark me how I will undo myself. And this is your second David Tennant reference. So someone could be called Richard, because the quote's from Richard II. I'm particularly seeing David Tennant playing him. So any of those names could be relevant. Someone's last name could be Tennant. It could be talking about a tenant, right? Like if you're a landlord. Mark me how I will undo myself. So this line is from the speech where Richard II is being forced to give up his throne and hand over his crown to his usurper. And he makes the most of it, right? He has his moment. He's like, right, if you're going to force me to do this, I'm going to do it with such dignity and pomp and ceremony and emotion, and it's his redeeming speech. So Richard II is kind of the bad guy up until this point. You know, he's doesn't have many redeeming qualities. He has like a bit of a breakdown speech beforehand, like another little monologue where he's kind of like, poor me. But this is kind of where he has his character arc, and he has this really majestic, like fine kind of, it's kind of like the true king moment, kind of thing. Yeah, and he does this brilliant, mark me how I will undo myself. I wipe the what is it, I take the weight from off my crown. I wipe the anointed thing off my head. I can't remember the speech, but it's really cool. Definitely check it out on YouTube if you want to go and look that up. David Tennant, Richard II, probably not declension, what's it called? The dethroning scene. I don't know. So then I had from that choosing how you go. Like, I can break the rules now. So it could be something like you're the boss of a company, or something like you're maybe kind of high up in it, like a chairman or something of a company. Your contract's ending. You've been fired. So you have this mark me how I will undo myself. And it's like, I will take the whole ship down with me. But not, it doesn't feel like you are. It doesn't feel like you're taking revenge on the entire place. It just feels like, it's like no holds barred or something like that. Aries had something similar where Aries had this thing. I couldn't tell if it was them or if they were dealing with somebody. Like, I couldn't tell if it was them or someone they were dealing with, basically. But they came through this Libran energy of this person's job is secure, so they can say whatever they want. Because if this person gets fired, it will be worse for the company. It's almost like this person, it could be Leo as well. They have this know your worth thing. It's like this person is they're like bulletproof. They had like plot armor. Again, this was Aries' reading, but it had this Libran energy to it. So it's like they can say things boldly in a brash way because, and they could ruffle feathers because it's like their position was secure. Where you have this feeling of almost like maybe even like retiring. It's like, well, I'm going out, so I'm going out with a bang kind of thing. So again, it's like I'm going to be remembered. Yeah, I don't know, your energy was coming in. I was like, whoa, what have I stepped into here? I kind of like, have you seen that meme where the guy walks into the room and it's like on fire and he walks in with a pizza and he's like, what have I stepped into? That's how I felt coming into your reading. I'm not saying you're burning a workplace to the ground, but you do. I mean, don't do that. Do not do anything illegal or that's going to put lives at risk. It's just really stupid. It feels more like, honestly, it feels more like that kind of thing of saying, oh, right, well, Barbara said you were the one stealing the staplers. And then watching the person kind of like go and call out Barbara and then watching someone else. It's like you're instigating like a big office row. It's like they show me like a food fight, you know, like cream pies. What's that all that like the movie? It's like gangsters, but it's kids. It's like they're all throwing cream pies at each other. I don't know. You've got forgive us our trespasses. So I was taken back to when I was really little, and we used to be taught the Lord's Prayer every single day in class assembly in the morning. We would recite the Lord's Prayer. So I know it by rote. It took me a while. I got a bit rusty with it, but then it kind of came back when I started doing tarot readings. And again, you are coming through this kind of slightly religious vibe. Again, not surprised, you're the high priestess, but you kind of follow your own rules when it comes to religion. It's like you have your own religion, really. Being a Scorpio is a religion all by itself. But especially if you have Scorpio Mars, you know, you very much have your own set of rules that you live by. Now, I was picking up on a slight Capricorn energy. I don't know if you've got Capricorn placements in your chart. There's this thing in Libra's reading, it was like Pluto and Saturn, and Pluto's Scorpio and Saturn's Capricorn. And again, I was kind of picking up on a bit of a vibe of it. It's like something about the kind of want to watch the world burn energy, I think. But I was kind of talking to my kid about this and how when I was a little girl and I was learning the Lord's Prayer, I was too young to understand all the words. So I didn't understand the line, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I didn't understand the word trespass. And I remember there was this little, there was this gate. So there was this house between my house and my grandma's house. So I'd walk past it and it would say, trespassers will be prosecuted. And I remember every time I saw it, I'd be like, but we're meant to forgive trespassers. Why would we, like, you know, like a little child to self, I was like, but God says we need to forgive trespassers, right? And this sign said trespassers will be prosecuted. So it was confusing to me as a little kid, right? It was like, but these don't make sense. So So I was talking to my kid about this, and they've got Capricorn placements, Sagittarius with Capricorn and Aquarius placements, and they said, I don't think they've got any Scorpio, but they said, what if I just don't expect forgiveness and I don't forgive others? I can just do what I want. And I was like, God, you feel like you're talking as like a Scorpio or a Capricorn right now. Like, what are you channeling? It's like, what if I just don't forgive anyone and don't expect them to forgive me? Like, then can I just do what I want? I don't know, it's just funny to me. Okay, I also got, no, behave yourself, Scorpio. But again, you're coming in almost as my flip side, because I'm like, no, you have to be good and sweet and pure and angelic. And then like my animus is going, but what if I just do what I want to do, huh? Right, I've not got split personality disorder or anything like that. It's, again, you can go and look it up. It's a whole philosophical thing. According to Carl Jung, we all have a shadow. It makes a lot of sense when you read about it and you're like, oh, actually, yeah, I can see that about myself, everybody else in the world, and also society as a whole. This idea of like the collective shadow. So if you're not familiar with that, it does sound like I've got like some kind of like multiple personality disorder. That's not a bad thing either, by the way. I think there's a lot of scaremongering when people have a DID, dissociative identity disorder. And again, I'm not a clinician, I'm not a psychologist, I'm interested, right? I'm interested in people and the way brains work. So I know a little bit about it, enough to be able to kind of give you an overview, and you can go and do your research yourself, right? Or go and talk to a professional yourself. But dissociative identity disorder, there's a lot of scary stuff. It's often used as a plot device in movies, in books, to be like, hey, here's the scary, crazy guy. You think he's your friend, but actually he's got this devil living inside him. There's this other character that comes out. Brilliant plot device, not really how it works in real life. The majority of the time, 99.9% of the time, probably more than that, people with mental health or personality disorders are more likely to be the victim of crime than the perpetrator of crime. And most of the time, again, if you look at that Jungian philosophy, a lot of the time these split personalities, the alters, they occur normally in childhood, and it's normally as a response to a traumatic event. So it's basically a very, very clever trick that our brain is programmed to do. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. This is our brain working properly in order to protect us. The way I personally see it anyway is that if we're going through something that's very, very traumatic, especially in childhood when we don't have the capacity to understand what's happening, we disassociate, right? And the person's brain will normally invent a character to be a friend, to help them understand what's happening, to live through the experience, so that the main the main personality doesn't have to remember that traumatic experience. It's a coping mechanism. It's an inbuilt feature that helps us cope when we're faced with extreme stress. So it's a safety mechanism. It's to help the person. It's not meant to hurt other people. And there's a lot of people with, some people find it very, very distressing, and some people actually find it very, very reassuring. They like having dissociative identity disorder because they've got these characters, these friends, and it's comforting. And that's the point of it. It's designed by our brains to comfort us. So don't be scared of the term, right? Get to know people on a more individual basis, talk to them, understand yourself better. It could be something that's coming up for you. And again, if you feel like, oh, hang on, do I have dissociative identity disorder? Go and speak to someone who's accredited, who has the qualifications to diagnose you and assist you with that, okay? If you feel like you need assistance. It could be something, because there's definitely this flip side business coming on here. Most of you, though, I want to kind of reassure you, perhaps, that we're really just talking about, again, this Freudian concept of who we want to be, how we want to be perceived, which is our persona, and then the parts of ourselves that we keep hidden that maybe we've been told are wrong by perhaps culture, society, religion, you know, the things that we feel shame over. Definitely check out your Lilith placement, because your Lilith placement is a lot about shame and things that feel wrong. We can when we look at this dark, hidden, scary part of ourselves, and we come to terms with it, and we do the shadow work, and we do sometimes therapy, and we improve this part of ourselves that is a little bit broken, we can turn it into what's called the golden shadow, which is extremely healthy because it's incorporating the aspects of ourselves that we've rejected so that we can become whole, like the yin yang. And this doesn't mean that you have to go out doing things that are obviously wrong or against the law, right? But to have an urge to do something is acceptable. To act upon the urge is where the, you know, other things come into check. So yeah, just that's my thought process. Again, you may feel differently if you want to go and check out Carl Jung and the golden shadow, the anima, the animus, all these terms. Yeah, okay, so I had turn around bright eyes, turn around every now and then I feel a little bit lonely. So again, this idea of, I don't know, turning around, facing inside yourself perhaps. But like I say, sometimes I say my animus is like a dragon and it's like behind me. Like I feel it behind me, right? It's like turn around and face it. Turn around and face your own shadow. Stop running from it perhaps. I heard coming into alignment. Again, I feel like Libra had 3 cards about balance. They were like karma done. Saturn has given me a gold star and I don't have to deal with any of that karma anymore. My road is clear from now on, right? Libra is like, hey, I am out of here. I'm done. Libra had this funny thing as well where it's like, it was almost Scorpio was protecting Libra from being involved with the tower. It was kind of like, it was going through like Scorpio is Libra's mom or dad and going, or protector, guardian. And Scorpio was going, okay, Libra, I'm going to send you on this really lovely little boat ride. You go off on your little boat ride, have a great time. See you later, Libra, turning around, setting the kingdom on fire and being like, ha 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 ha. And Libra coming back in Scorpio being like, just go the other way. So it was like Libra was oblivious. It was like the tower was like a background thing. Like they were barely aware of it because they were being protected by this Scorpio energy. So like that moon princess, whatever that is, it doesn't have to be Libra. Probably not even aware of the tower. You also had, so I randomized a song for you. I was like, come on then, what's going on? What's going on with Scorpio? You had She Wolf by Shakira. And again, this is really kind of like, again, confirming for me that there could be something going on between Libra and Scorpio. Because Libra had this thing, they had Beautiful Liar with Beyonce and Shakira. Now Beyonce's Virgo, Shakira's Aquarius. So they're not Scorpios, but it's kind of like if Libra was one of them, right, Beyonce or Shakira, you're coming through as Shakira. She-wolf. The moon's my teacher and I'm her student. And you've got the moon and the princess, right? The moon's the teacher and I'm her student. Princess is learning. You also had Off to the Races by Lana Del Rey. Libra got 3 Lana Del Rey songs. It's this like intense kind of whirlwind romance. You are my one true love. You are my one true love. So check that out if you want. I'm like, where's my Scorpio? Where's this one true love? Right, no, that's a joke. It's fine, guys. It's fine. I can't with you reading it. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, let's put these cards away and get into the massive spread that's come through for you. Maybe somebody's putting on like a lot of food, like a massive spread. You'd say that about like if you had like a big buffet, right? A big buffet would be a massive spread. Just, I don't even know where to start. You've got so many cards. I'm kind of overwhelmed, Scorpio. Okay, so you start with the Crystal Cave Trust, which again is going back to the Libra placement. I'm convinced one of you is Libra, like Libra Sun, Scorpio Moon, or something like this, or on the cusp, because the interplay between the 2 signs is mega for me. And again, the way it comes through for me personally, I don't have Scorpio, but well, everybody has a Scorpio placement because everybody's got a Pluto placement, right? Pluto's somewhere in your chart. Yeah, I don't have like any major kind of Scorpio placements. However, I think actually my, oh, hang on, I say that, but I think my Jupiter's in Scorpio. um, hey guys. But yeah, when Scorpio energy for me, the way it comes through for me, it comes through as parental. Again, my mum was Scorpio, my dad had, I think, a Scorpio Mars placement. It comes through as protective, and it comes through as my own shadow, comes through as Pluto energy, at least. So that's how it works for me. How it was for you, I don't know. You have to kind of like dive into your own chart and figure out why the energies are playing out this way. Do you have Libra placements? Are you protective over a Libra? Is it something to do with Venus, not Libra? Could also be Taurus. Okay, Crystal Cave Trust. Again, with the crystal, Libra had this kind of crystal dragon. I can't actually see where they are. Oh, look, it's, no, different one. I thought it was right underneath, but it's not. I can't find the crystal dragon to show you. Similar to this. So this is the card that was underneath. Like, you've got your underlying card, and this was like the next one. So similar to this idea of the crystal dragon that kept on coming out for Libra. So Crystal Cave, again, to me, reading this, is like, well, my animus is inside my persona, right? So I'm the Crystal Cave to my own animus. Again, I can't stop with the philosophy. It must be something about the Scorpio energy. Crystal Cave Trust. This is talking to me about you doing your own practices, you trusting your own religion, whatever your religious ideals are, and even if it's like no religion, I make my own rules, I do wellness practices, whatever it is, you've got this deep inner trust. Cave energy always talks to me about our internal selves, right? Our inner realm. So if you're doing shadow work, it's often depicted to me in my readings as going into a cave. Capricorn gets it a lot because they've had Pluto in the chart for a long time. Crystal Cave Trust could also be something specifically about crystals, like maybe someone has like a crystal selling business or something like that. Then you've got this thing happening here. How do I explain this? Because underneath the Crystal Cave and Trust, you've got the Ten of Earth. Now, the Ten of Earth is about building up financial, physical, material, well, your physical and material and financial world around you. So it's feeling very, very comfortable in a very unstable environment, actually. So to get the Ten of Earth in an unstable financial climate is a very positive sign. But it does talk to me about you kind of feeling very comfortable. Maybe you've built up quite a comfortable life for yourself, or this is something that you're in the process of doing. You feel like you're kind of almost sifting and sorting through treasure, because just like the image of these two together, she's kind of surrounded by all these things, and then she's surrounded by all this kind of like this treasure chest and these pentacles. So it's kind of like you with your tools, you with your supplies, you with your, it could be like something like balancing finances, because it's like these two towers are equal. Now these two towers are really, really standing out to me. So it's almost like getting big gold coins and like stacking them, right? And stacking them equally on either side of yourself is the way it looks like it's coming through. But then it builds these two towers or these two pillars. Now the two towers or two pillars could be something that you're basing your principles on. It could be you've got two principles, two pillars for life. It could be like two nest eggs. I'm not sure, but there's this definite kind of two pillars energy, because this is like by next to this, right? It's like twin towers. Could that be something? If that's, take it if that's meaningful to you at all. I don't quite know how that would fit in. Like, obviously I know the twin towers because that was a big event, like when they came down, and I don't want to dive into that too deeply, but it's kind of like, I don't see you as being destructive, I see you as being constructive. It's like you've tried to build these two, like, it could be like two financial institutions, these two companies. You are trying to build them equally. I want to say there's something quite important about them being balanced and equal. This one's slightly higher, but again, I think this is something that you've been in the process of doing. it's almost like the Pillars of Hercules or something as well, right? It's like it's got this, it's making me think of like Lord of the Rings as well. Like Lord of the Rings, the two towers and then like the Eye of Sauron, but it's not that. It's like, it's coming through not as anything scary, but almost as, it's coming through like healing, especially with the crystals, right? Maybe you work with like crystals, like crystal healing. It's like you're doing something where you're, maybe it's like two crystals, like you've got two, are they called obelisks? Obelisks. Maybe you've got like two crystal obelisks, right? Maybe they're quite expensive. It's took you a while to save up for these two obelisks. And it's like the space in between them, between these two crystals, is this energetic space, right? Like this. Can you see the ball of energy? It's like you've been working with what's, yes, she's got two crystals. Oh my God. I didn't see that one at first. It was kind of like blending in. She has got two crystals. Like, that's mental. So it's like these two crystals, the energetic space between them, right? Like this. So it's like you've now got this energetic ball or portal. It could be like a crystal ball between two crystal pillars. But you've got this, it's like energetic potential now. And again, it seems like it's healing and like a protector, benefactor energy, because above the sky bridge is Asclepius. Asclepius is the god of healing, right, and medicine. Something about him being two colors as well, right? Like it's almost like going through a portal, half in one realm, half in the other. And then you also have like, so you've got the magic stream and the gentle gardener. So it's looking to me like this is a portal between two realms, and you've got the flip side. So this is one side where I want to say you are, like you're in this realm and you're looking through to this realm. So it's almost like the, can you see it's like the two towers with the portal, and then like this is like something to do with the third tower, which is this one here, right? It's like the head of the magic stream. But then like the water's coming through that space. Do you see what I'm doing there? It's like this is almost like a hole and the water's going through to this realm. And it could be a stream of consciousness, because water can symbolize consciousness. So your consciousness projecting through into this space. Like it's like almost like projecting yourself through a mirror. It could be through a lens as well, right? Like a camera. Kind of how I'm doing now, I'm kind of like talking to the camera, you're on the other side of the camera viewing what I'm doing. It could be something like that, but again, it's like emotion. It's like water symbolizes consciousness or emotion to me. It's like you're sending yourself, perhaps like astral projecting, which kind of I guess I'm doing when I do a video, right? It's kind of like I'm not really where you are, but you're seeing me. I'm projected through lenses to where you are. So it could be something like that. So yeah, like this magic stream, right? I feel like Aries had this thing about trying to get to the source. Like they were trying to get to the cave at the head of the magic stream, but you seem like it's your cave, right? Right. It's like a seagull. So then it's kind of like your consciousness is poking through. And you, I mean, do flip it and reverse it if you feel like this is someone else, like someone on the other side from you. But with it being the first card, it feels like something that you're intentionally doing. So like I say, it's like this, there's that kind of window or portal that you've opened up, and it's like you're putting your head through and then looking down onto, so it's like your head's coming through the head of this stream and like looking down onto this field below. This is actually like the field of dreams. There's another card that says field of dreams, and then the gentle gardener. So you're coming through like a grandmother. So funny, because I was talking about the grandmother energy in Libra's reading, and kind of like looking down and keeping an eye on the kids, keeping an eye on the investments, helping things to grow, nurturing, sustaining, just being this kind of like overview. Then we have Maudwin, which I'm not entirely sure why it is here, but it's something about the purple, right? It's like, you see like the purple and green. It's like these two, it's like two dragons combined, or two aspects of the self. The philosopher aspect of Asclepius and the Maudwin side of Asclepius. So the Maudwin side is kind of like sacred geometry, understanding the laws of physics, the laws of nature, mathematics. Yeah, if you want to look into sacred geometry, it's kind of like a rabbit hole, but it's really, really interesting. And so it's kind of almost somebody who learns, it's like, because I'm so good at physics, it's kind of like my starman energy. I always say starman's Aquarius, but coming through that kind of, I understand physics so well that I can invent a time machine, right? I understand how time and space works, so if I can understand how it works, I can manipulate it. It kind of feels like that. And then combining sacred geometry, which is very, it's almost like, is it like left side of the brain? It's very logical, it's very skill based, it's like information, very intelligent, with the philosopher, which feels more like humanities subjects. It's kind of like Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts, kind of like left side, right side of brain. Like the combination of both creates this kind of Asclepius healing energy. I don't know if that makes any sense. Again, you've got this kind of yin yang quality throughout the whole reading of kind of left and right, good and bad, light and dark, like the polarities. But the mixture of the polarities creating this kind of like whole energy. So again, like the healing, like if the purpose is to heal, then the way to get to this is through logic and humanity, right? Science and humanity, science and arts. Well, like I say, so you have this kind of feeling of reaching through, right? Your consciousness reaching through, astrally projecting, deep quiet meditation and stillness. Again, it's this idea of kind of like projecting yourself through that crystal into another realm to, I think, make contact with, it seems like you're making contact with the moon princess. But again, you could be a moon princess connecting with another moon princess. You could be the moon princess, and for some reason the dragons are coming through as the main energy of the reading. So again, do flip and reverse if needs be. So yeah, it's like, let's talk about that card next, right? So it's almost like, you know how I say that my dragon's behind me? I can feel this hand on my back. I feel the presence of it. Perhaps as a projection of my own psyche. Perhaps I am contacting something else, right? Another form of consciousness. It's interesting, like all this sounds so crazy, but then literally like a day or two ago, there was like a big like Senate Congress hearing about UFOs, and they were like, yeah, UFOs exist. I mean, they didn't exactly say that, right? My theory on that is, the bit that I saw was this guy going, they were like, yes, there was a spacecraft, something that we couldn't identify, right? Something came from the sky, we didn't know what it was, so it's unidentified. It's an unidentified flying object. We can't figure it out. And it was like, it probably came from space, right? And then they were like, did you get any organic matter? Did you get any life from it? And they were like, yes, we got like biocomponents from it. And they were like, were these biocomponents human? And he was like, they were not human. And they didn't outright say they were alien. And everybody was like, oh my God, he's basically said they're alien. And it doesn't mean that it was a conscious life form, right? It doesn't mean it was a little grey man. I was like, it could have been a plant. It could have been like moss. It could have been mud, right? Just because it's like organic matter, like it doesn't mean that it's like living organic matter, right? It could just be like a mushroom. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a consciousness. Having like, I'm not dismissing it either. I'm just it's just objective, right? It's like, listen, he said what he said. I'm not jumping to conclusions, right? We don't have that answer. I've not watched the whole thing. But I'm saying that, but I saw UFOs. I've seen 3. So years and years and years ago, I was on the school field waiting to pick my kid up from nursery, and I was just kind of like roaming around the school field, kind of waiting, and I looked up into the sky, and there were these 2 silver balls in the sky, like they were like silvery lights really high up in the sky, and I was looking at them thinking, that's really weird. What are they? Does anyone else see this? And I was thinking, maybe it's just like a plane that's really high and the light's glinting off it. Maybe it's like a weather balloon. Maybe it's just a kid's let the balloon go, right? And it's like really high up in the sky, the sun's glinting off it. And I'm looking at these two balls in the sky, and I swear to God, they zoom off. They zoom off in a weird way, and I was like, oh, I think I might have just seen some kind of UFO, right? Whether it's some kind of like secret military spacecraft or whether it was aliens. I was like, I saw something strange. And then I think I was talking about this a while back in a reading, and I was like looking up at the sky, and above my house was another one. And I was like, oh, the aliens are here. The aliens might be here, guys. And they might be projecting down to us as consciousness. I'm not saying it was the aliens, but I'm not saying it's not the aliens either. I'm like that guy in Congress. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have the answer. What do you want from me? Anyway, so the idea of like projecting consciousness, which I think we're getting closer to as a species, even if you just think of it in terms of, I don't know, the internet, right? Being able to kind of make a Zoom call to the other side of the world instantaneously, that is a form of projection. So, you know, that would have been unfathomable if you roll back a couple of 100 years, like before we had like television, like, you know, people freaked out when we got phones. So people freaked out when we got television. So it's like we have this resistance to the improvements in technology when, you know, and things seem like witchcraft. It's like, oh my God, it's witchcraft. When it's like, no, it's just an iPhone. So it's kind of like, you know, we can't, if we could fathom it, if we could imagine where we're going next in terms of like development, we would be inventing it, right? Like we haven't thought of it yet. So so there's no reason why in the future we can't, like, I don't know, live in a virtual world and have a projection of our consciousness that's a computer. So it seems unfathomable, but I don't necessarily think it is. I think we probably can astrally project, and I think things project to me. I feel them behind me, and I don't know what they are. I can't tell you if they're ghosts, guardian angels, some bloke in Dorset who's like, hey, I'm gonna go and say hi to her. I don't know, right? But again, you feel like you're going in, connecting consciously, and she's not looking at him, right? She's kind of feeling back. She's like, I can feel that you're there. A bit like when I tap my shoulder when I feel the hand on my back. And then with the radical acceptance, it's kind of like, you are my one true love. I'm not saying it's a romantic relationship, but there's definitely something that feels compatible and companionable about this. It's kind of like, you're different to me, but I accept you for what you are. I know you accept me. We're friends. Do you see what I mean? It's like radical acceptance, beloved. Maybe you're like accepting that you're loved. Like that could be a radical concept for some people. I think sometimes some of us can grow up in unhealthy environments where, you know, what we think of as love perhaps is conditional. And if we don't know differently, if we don't know true love and what that feels like, we can accept abusive situations because we think it's normal. We can make excuses. So it's like, to actually have kind of that God love, that unconditional Ace of Cups love, can feel very radical, right? And it can, this is kind of like when people talk about the runner and the chaser as well, right? Which is kind of toxic in itself, a lot of the discourse that is around that. I'm not rejecting the concept entirely, but I think there's a lot of misuse and some, yeah, let's not get into that. Anyway, so the concept of unconditional, right? It's my soul knows your soul and everything's fine. Like everything, nothing matters except for the connection that's here. That's all I have to say about that. Three of Cups. So the Three of Cups is like, it's coming to me today like a connection, like an emotional connection, like an emotional collaboration. I would have thought it'd be the Two of Cups, but there seems to be something about, perhaps it's tied to a significant meeting or a significant milestone or emotional moment. It feels more significant, like there's more circumstantial than just the relationship between the two. It's like there's, again, it's almost the creation of a third energy through the conjunction of two energies. Okay, because like I say, the dragon's coming through as a conjoined energy, right? The green and the purple into this space of the blue. So it's like the dragon's coming in with two energies, perhaps. And the moon princess is the third energy. But it's like maybe somebody has got DID, right? It's like, or maybe it is like somebody with their anima or animus. This idea of the two. Just, again, it's coming through the left side and right side thinking, though, like two sides of the brain, but joined together and then joining the third to create one. Like three become one. So if it feels like, again, going back to Libra's reading, if it felt like Libra was the sweet, pure soul, because they had this card in their reading, like their purity, their inner light shining in the darkness. And if it felt like Scorpio energy was the dark protector to Libra's inner light, your reading is almost saying Libra's the light to your shadow, is the way that it's coming through. Again, it's like really, really verified by the Justice card being here, which is Libra, right? It's like saying to me, it balances out. Like the purity of one balances out the darkness of the other. It's uneven though, these scales. There's a lot of talk about Libra's sword in that reading. I'm just noticing how the shadow makes it look shorter, because they actually had a dagger in their reading. It's like the concealed truth or something like that. I'm not sure. But it says, let me just read it. So again, like, what is this on here? Always trust in the purity of your heart. Look inside your heart, and within it, you'll find the answer to your question. So it's like it's almost like if you're Libra's animus, Libra's your anima. So your energy's behind Libra. And can you see, it's like, you see what I mean? It's like your energy's one step behind Libra. Libra's energy is one step behind you. Again, it's almost like the two mythical creatures. I was talking about the unicorn being symbolic of something that seems impossible, but there it is, kind of thing. It's like dragons. It's like they seem impossible. Aliens, they seem impossible or implausible, and yet here they are. It's that kind of energy. So it's like they're giving me the wrong song. I was going for Snow on the Beach, weird but fucking beautiful. If you know that song, Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey. But they're actually giving me Wildest Dreams. Wildest Dreams. So I'm just going to make a note of those two songs. Give me a sec. Okay, so I wrote Widest Dreams, Wildest Dreams. Somebody else had Snow on the Beach. So Justice and Sanctuary. Again, somebody else had this thing about like the ragtag crew, right? Going to the Garden of Venus and meeting the kind of ragtag crew, I think is the way it came through. It feels like sanctuary and justice and purity. It has the feeling of it's making me think of like biblical stories. I can't think of a specific one, or even like concepts such as Xenia, Xenia, I think it is Xenia. It's a Greek, or Xenia. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. I'm terrible. It's the concept of hospitality. It's protected by Zeus. It was a really important theme of classical Greek culture. It was called guest friendship. So it was the idea of like, if someone shows up at your door, because like the islands were so spaced out, it's like people could show up and be really in desperate need of basic care and attention. It's like food, a shelter for the night, just basic hospitality. And this isn't something we can really do like in the modern world, right? But back then it was this really important kind of social pillar because it was like, it was just basic humanity. And it said if someone showed up at your city and they were a bit bedraggled, before you even asked them any information about who they were, what their purpose was, you were supposed to offer them hospitality. You were supposed to give them a warm meal, let them rest, and then kind of go, okay, so what's going on with you? And if someone showed, it was kind of like, if you didn't do this, you made Zeus angry. It was seen as being disrespectful to the god. So you didn't really want to do that. And this is all in like the Odyssey and the Iliad. And I think there's other references to it too. Upholding this concept and doing the right thing created this bond between you and the guest. So it was said that, like, if you were ever in battle, if these people's sons were ever in battle, they wouldn't have to directly fight each other. They could kind of shake hands and they'd still continue to fight the other soldiers, but they wouldn't have direct conflict because this bond of Xenia was so well respected. No one would expect them to fight each other. It'd be like, no, we know each other. We're not going to fight. Like, we'll fight for our town, we'll fight people we don't know, but we're not going to fight the people who we have this bond with. So it was really important in terms of like peacekeeping as well. So it's almost making me think like justice as a sanctuary. It's almost like that idea of like the church being a safe place where, you know, they just don't ask questions. They give you a bed for the night. A lot of like church charities, you know, like homeless charities and things like this, where it's kind of like soup kitchens, where it's kind of like, we don't care who you are, we don't care what your story is, we don't care what you've done, we're going to give you that basic level of humanity, that basic level of respect. Kind of feels a little bit like that. Now, take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Justice and sanctuary with purity. It feels like somebody, like almost like Good Samaritan energy, like somebody who's been really kind for no other reason than you're a human being and you deserve kindness, or you're an alien who's a bit homeless and deserve kindness, right? A basic level of respect because you are a life form. That's how it feels. And that pure, again, going back to the pillars of like what's right and wrong, like it feels like the pillar of whoever this is this feeling of like, I mean, the justice card, they have a really strong sense of right and wrong, right? They have a strong sense of what justice is. And with purity, it's very much, it feels very childlike and simple and straightforward. It's kind of like you can't complicate this. It's kind of the sort of thing of like, I don't believe in the death penalty. This is my own personal belief system. I disagree with the death penalty. I think that it, you know, if you take a life away, you're acting like God, and you know, you can't condemn someone for being a murderer and then take someone's life away. That's not okay in my book. I do believe in kind of like assisted dying under certain conditions, because, you know, if somebody's in so much pain or their life is so intolerable because of their health, you know, where it's almost like torturous to keep them living. I think that is, you're assisting a process that's already happening. Where to take someone who's a healthy person and say, oh, you did the wrong thing, we're going to kill you now. It's like an eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind. I don't think it's right. The other reason why I don't think it's right personally, and philosophical coming through, you can disagree with me. I know a lot of people do. You know, even if someone's committed a really horrific crime, and I do think there's a lot of bad that humans can do. I do believe in redemption as a soul. I think that's the purpose of why we're here. I believe in reincarnation. And I believe in karma and taking I think, you know, you have your soul and you take your soul to the next life. And if you kill somebody, they just go into that next life, like they're reborn as they were. They haven't learned anything. Where I think if you use the life that they have left to, yes, keep them in jail, right? Give them meet their basic human needs, give them basic human rights. But if you spend the time counseling them, right? Giving them access to an education that maybe they didn't have before. If you have them join philosophy classes, you know, I think the idea of being I think if you think about it in terms of like, we need to be better as humans, we need to level up in terms of collective consciousness, and hurt people. So let's try and figure out what's going on with that soul, and try and get some of the soul gunk off them, so that when they go into the next life, they go into it with a better chance, doing good, rather than just going back into the same spiral. It's my personal opinion. Not everybody has to agree with it. But I think our soul is our soul, and I think it's often situational, like the life we lead on earth and the things that we engage with that make our souls heavy, right? Where I think, actually our pure soul is pure light. I don't know personally. Right, anyway, moving on from the philosophy. So then we have activation and then stillness, which again is strange. Activation, stillness. It's like activating stillness, or the idea of kind of like, again, this yin yang, this opposites. If there's a lot of stuff happening in one place, it's still on the other. Kind of makes me think of like the sun and how it moves around the earth, right? It's night on one side, it's day on the other. It's summer, it's winter. So it's like if it's busy in one realm, the other realm is still, but there's still this swan. You see, so it's almost like if we put this swan over this swan, it's like this, right? She's looking through a portal into this realm. Where it's like, but to her, which could be you, right, is where in this realm it's like the swan's whole, and she's whole. On the other side, it's all energy. Like there's no form. It's substance but no form, right? Do you see what I mean with that? These two swans. They don't fit like that. It's not a reflection. It's like looking through a blurry window. Looking through a film or a filter. Which really is validated by the next card. I don't set this up, guys. This is the way the cards come through. And look at this. But then it's like doubling up. Like how I saw 222 at the beginning of the reading, and then it was 444. Like, what's with the doubling up? It makes me think that it's two flip sides, right? It's someone who's light on the outside and dark on the inside, meeting someone who's dark on the outside and light on the inside, and balancing each other out perfectly. Self-reflection. It's like reflecting each other back at each other. It's like if you're the yin, you meet someone who's the exact yang to your yin, right? Light and shadow talks about good and bad, and I'm not necessarily talking about good and bad. I'm talking more about like exact opposites, right? Polarities. So you're a woman, you meet someone who's like the exact opposite of you in terms of like they're a man, but they're also a reflection of you. And it's like their behavior reflects, it's like they, so like, how do I explain this? It's so difficult. It's like if I'm female, right? So according to Carl Jung, I have an animus that's like my inner masculine. And so it's like meeting my inner masculine in a man who's a physical, real man in front of me. And it's like my shadow is an exact match to this man. And then that man has an anima inside them, because it's always the opposite according to Jung. And we can get into technicalities of that if you want to later or in the comments. But I know that it's not like, I know it's not black and white, right? It's grey areas. But just for the sake of trying to explain what I'm seeing here, it's like if I'm a female on the outside and inside I have an animus. I'm meeting someone who's male on the outside and inside they have an animus. But the man is a reflection of my animus, and I'm a reflection of their anima. And then it's this healing of each other. So did you get it? It's like two in one, reflection, exact opposites. And it's healing because the anima and the animus inside us is the shadow, right? It's the shadow that needs healing. It's the parts of ourselves that we've rejected. But then if we have radical acceptance for, if I loved that man and he loved me with radical acceptance, in doing so, we therefore love the anima and animus within ourselves that we had previously rejected, right? Does that make any sense? It's like rejecting your complete opposite, but by rejecting your complete opposite, you're rejecting half of yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense. Please say you understand, guys. Give me a like if you understand. I feel like it's such a strange concept. But then it has fury. And this is why I feel like, I mean, it could be talking about like the wildfires and things that happen. It could be talking about anger about the environment. But I want to say it's something to do with, again, this idea of kind of when you haven't done the shadow work, you anger each other, right? You bring out the worst of each other because you're bringing the worst of each other out to the surface in order for it to be seen, because the shadow's stepping into the light, and for it to be healed, right? It's like becoming the other person. Does that make any sense? It's so hard to explain. So it's like, say I meet that man and that man triggers me and my animus comes to the surface, which is like my shadow, right? It's like, oh, I need to protect, my animus is here. And they do the same. It's like, I need to protect, my animus here. And then I'm meeting my own shadow then, and they're meeting their own shadow. In that shadow being brought to the surface, and then it has to be seen and dealt with, rather than being something that's tucked away and hidden. Because again, it's all this reflecting, and then like reflecting on it, right? So maybe getting quite angry, and then walking away from each other and going, okay, why are we angry? Why did that trigger me so much? Why did that feel like it hurt a really deep part of myself? Oh, because in rejecting that other person, I actually rejected part of myself, right? I rejected part of my own soul. So now I need to accept that part of myself, and in doing so, also accept that in them. And then we can both heal. Like, again, you've got this Asclepius energy. And then building confidence. So the stillness, the reflection builds confidence, right? It's really good. It takes time, precious time. I'll read that. The fairy of time wants you to experience every moment fully and to make the most of your precious time. Be mindful not to waste the time of others either. Again, I do feel like it takes time. It's like maybe it's like a runner and chaser thing, where it's like you keep triggering each other, running away, learning to love that part of yourself, coming back together, triggering each other, running away, learning to love that part of yourself. But anyway, whatever happens, it comes with gratitude. Comes with gratitude. It's like, I'm thankful for this experience. I'm thankful I met my opposite, my counterpart, because even though they annoy the shit out of me, they are reflecting parts of myself. I'm projecting onto them. They're reflecting parts of myself back at me that I need to learn to love. And so I'm thankful for that person, even if we're never going to be friends, even if we're never going to be lovers, even if we don't want to see each other again. I'm so thankful I know that person and that they're in my life because they've taught me so much about myself. Assessing, right? Reflecting, stillness, assessing, gratitude, all good stuff. Again, funny things coming up in a second. So then again, it's like this gravity and beauty. It's kind of like Sleeping Beauty, right? I always think she looks like she's sleeping and the animals are trying to wake her up. So again, it could be that if this is the girl, right? If this is maybe Libra, the Moon Princess perhaps meets with this consciousness in their dreams. Perhaps they don't know them in reality. Perhaps it's two people in reality who maybe haven't even met in reality, but they meet in their dreams, right? It's like they come together in their dreams. It's like, but here I'm beautiful. I'm the pick-me girl, choose me, I'm the one. It does have Sleeping Beauty energy, and it does feel like there's something about this globe as well. Can you see, maybe it's an internet connection, you know this person via the internet. Can you see the globe on her back? And then she's like sat on a globe. So it's kind of like the alarm going off, the pet's trying to wake her up because she, I don't know, it's like, because she's just enjoying being in the dream space or something like that. Okay, my tummy's rumbling a bit. I feel like I feel like the Moon Maiden is being observed by the dragon because of these energies, and by this one as well. Do you remember this kind of like looking in on, looking down on? So it's kind of like somebody who's, again, like they're up in the sky, the kind of aliens looking down, keeping an eye on them. Similar, and these both say, I mean, assessing and observation, and these came out next to each other. And Libra had this whole thing about like the eye in the sky, right? The telescope, it's like the eye in the sky. And it's like, but it seems like it's a connection here. It seems like if this energy was at a distance from Libra, they were physically at a distance perhaps, and they were projecting their consciousness to Libra, again with this purple, right? It's like they were projecting their consciousness to the Moon Maiden. I need to stop saying Libra. It's like now they're closer, but they look so big, right? Now they're closer, and they're close enough almost to touch, I want to kind of say. You see what I mean? It's like all this stuff about the touch, the connection. It's like he's reaching out his finger. It's this connection. Kind of making me think of, I was joking about, you know, Michelangelo's, not Michelangelo's, Michelangelo, yeah, the Sistine Chapel, right? The touch of God and Adam. I kind of redid it with my cat, and then I was joking to my kid that I was going to paint it on the ceiling so they could see it every night when they fell asleep, and they were like, no, they were like horrified. So then I photoshopped it onto their ceiling because that's the kind of mother I am. Oh, look here as well. Like, see what I mean? Like the touch. It's like so much bigger though. So, oh goodness, and like there, he's like making. See, he's like making the crystal portal there. Okay, let me just get my thoughts together. So dragon, again, this dragon energy, but dragonfly change. So the change seems to be that it could be going from a psychic connection or a long distance connection to an actual physical meeting, possibly. Or there's just this change in each other, right? It's like, I don't know, because it does say beauty change. A change in the conception of what is beautiful, especially if this is like, I mean, it's a bit out there, but the idea of like it's being two different species, right? It's kind of like a human woman meeting an alien dragon. It's kind of like, but they're both beautiful. Like, isn't this magnificent and beautiful looking? So a change in the conception of beauty, for perhaps, especially because underneath that is this skylar, where to me, it comes out when I've got my acne and things like that. It's like, I look so awful, I can't look in the mirror. Kind of like, so maybe the dragon, because of the scales, maybe, and this could be you, maybe you perceived yourself as ugly, right? You perceived yourself as different, ugly, kind of like, I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. But it's like a Beauty and the Beast type situation where it's like, maybe you can conceive yourself as ugly, but they conceive yourself as magnificent, you know, or inspiring. Could be. Oh my god, look, again with the Sleeping Beauty energy underneath that. Because we're going into that a little bit more, that Sleeping Beauty idea. With the next set of cards, they've got 1, 2, 3 more rows. Okay, we're nearly done. So next it's this singled orca song lines and come together. So yeah, exactly. The change appears to be that you were apart and now you're coming together. Again, it could be a long distance connection, somebody that you know online, but you're going to go to an event together. Yeah, fairies like to be busy, and a group of them is showing you that many hands make light work. Working as a team helps get the job done. And you did have that 3 of Pentacles. So again, it's like, maybe you started a job during lockdown and it was a distance job. Well, like an online job, but now the office is opening, so you're gonna all go and start working in the office. You're gonna meet each other face to face. It could be something like that. Song lines, again, it has this feeling of like coming to you in your sleep. This like Sleeping Beauty idea. It's like they come to you when you're dreaming, or like if you go to the Moon Maiden when they're dreaming, and like the whole Sleeping Beauty thing that keeps coming through. So much, I'm getting really tired. I want to read singles because it's one that I'm not like majorly familiar with, so I wanted to just read it to make sure I was reading it accurately. I wasn't getting much from the card itself. So it says, do that which lifts your heart to bring forth your deep inner smile from within. And this idea of like what's within. Singold is the dragon of gratitude, which again, it's funny that it's, right? It's talking about, this is the dragon of gratitude. And you've got these cards, right? Gratitude assessing the dragon of gratitude. So again, strange that they're so close together, just with this assessment in between. He's the dragon of gratitude, and he arrives when we need to take notice of, and let me bring him closer, and acknowledge old negative patterns, right? So acknowledge the shadow. He asks us to recognize old emotional blocks. For example, these can be self-doubt, fear, or jealousy. Again, that feeling of self-doubt with the dragon kind of being like, but I'm not pretty. I was talking about that in Libra's reading. I was like, I hope you don't see my acne. He has these words to say about gratitude. Review your life to date and find things to be grateful for so you can rejoice in who you are. Acknowledge the fears. Here's the shadow work. Acknowledge the fears, envy, guilt, or anger within. Accept the niggling doubts. Admit they are present, for they are a part of you. But you have no need to dwell here, for they are a part of your past. Libra had the same thing about the past, and are no longer relevant to your life now. Instead, revel in the pure joy of being alive. Seek out the positive in your existence here on earth. Do more things that make you smile. Wear something small enough to carry around daily. Maybe it's a beautiful shell or a crystal, and set the intention within it to stay focused on being joyful and grateful, so that when this totem is on your person, it reminds you that all is as it should be. You are learning the lesson of gratitude, and you are exactly where you should be now. And it's like think and sing about joy. Okay. Yeah, song lines, again, it's like the star whales, like this, definitely this, like look at these two, because these two are next to each other. Just look at the whole imagery of like this sky being coming in to make this connection. Like the imagery is consistent. And it's here again, like with surrender. Like maybe surrender to the attitude of gratitude. I don't know. It's almost looking to me like, here's the dragon, right? You see this? It's like it's coming in. Surrender. Surrender to this, whatever this is. Surrender to the transformation. Surrender to the void. Surrender to the shadow. Because it comes through like this. So again, it's like fall asleep in one reality, wake up in the other reality where you're beautiful. I don't know, it's like this Venus energy. Do you see? It's like Venus coming out of the ocean, Venus being born, Botticelli's Venus, you know, kind of really, really beautiful. So surrender to the change, surrender to the unknown, surrender to the shadow, and have this transformation, have this change. Because, like, I can't remember the order now. I've got too many cards, I can't keep them in order. But you had kind of like this, right? Change, come together, transform. Transform the relationship, perhaps. And then the reading ends with work beaver and intuition cat. So work beaver, again, this thing of the beaver, the story of the beaver is like he had this big, beautiful, kind of like thick, luscious, hairy tail, and he kept going around and showing everybody, being like, look at my sexy tail. But all the other animals were like, what can it do? My tail does this, what does your tail do? Monkeys were like, I can use my tail to kind of like hook around things. And horses were like, I use my tail to swat flies. What purpose does your tail do? And then one day the beaver got his tail flattened, kind of by accident. Something fell on it, and then he was really embarrassed and ashamed, because he was like, oh no, my beautiful tail, my tail is so ugly. But all the animals respected him then, because he was like, oh no, your tail's really handy now, like look, you can build all these really cool dams, that's really helpful. And like they didn't love him when he thought he was beautiful, but then when he changed and transformed into something useful, you know, the others had like perceived his value then. So there could be a message in the story of the beaver, but generally speaking, the beaver just works really hard. He's got something to do and he works really hard. And then with intuition and cat, it's like again, going back to that kind of high priestess energy of like, trust your intuition. Trust your intuition, especially regarding work. Something about like BC as well, like before Christ, perhaps. ABC, I don't know. Right, I think we're done. I think we're done. Again, you do have this courage card though. That's the only thing I think left to say. Again, this kind of like brave step forward, leaving your gate, driving to work, going in the gate at work, going into the workplace, perhaps going into the tower, takes courage, especially if you've been working from home for a long time. You know, it can be quite scary to kind of be in social situations again, being in a big noisy office. I don't know. What I didn't do for you, which I did for every other sign, but will do now, is I found out who your spirit guides were. So I did show you the ones that were kind of like flashing to me. I hope nobody's flashing. We don't need that. Let's see what we have. Let's see what we have. Who is Scorpio's spirit guide, please? Who is Scorpio's spirit guide? Who is helping Scorpio? Again, going back to the thing about religion. This is Angels and Goddesses Among Us. It's two different decks combined into one. Don't worry too much about whoever's on the card. Let's just have a look at who's here. Saraswati. So you might be like, no, I'm Christian. This is not my religion. Try not to get too hung up on the specific deity. If it means something to you and it resonates for you, great. Otherwise, don't worry about the personification. Pay attention to the meaning of the card. It may remind you of somebody. It may remind you of somebody who's passed over. It may remind you of someone in the physical who's kind of helping you out at the moment. It may make you think of like a part of yourself, kind of like a higher self energy coming through to help you. So, like I say, don't get too worried about the specific deity unless it resonates with you. Let's look at the energy of the guide. Who's helping Scorpio? Whoa, I shifted. Like I got really heady. Whoa. Okay, are we gonna get a guide? Yes, we are. We're gonna get Sophia. Oh my god, I love it. That is so perfect. And the reason why is because, again, if you look at Carl Jung and the philosophy, you've got this philosopher, guys. It's in your reading. It's coming through really strong. Carl Jung talks about his anima, because he's a guy, so he has a female anima. Doesn't have to be the case. I think we're in a society, guys. We live in a society where we know there's more than two ways of people choosing to present in terms of gender. For argument's sake, let's just go with what Carl Jung said. I'm sure modern philosophers are expanding on this idea at the moment, kind of in universities across the world. But Carl Jung, his own anima, he said there's 4 stages of the anima and 4 stages of the animus. They start off with this kind of almost like id energy of like something quite kind of basic and very shadowy. And they improve through these 4 stages, and the kind of ultimate kind of golden stage of the shadow, what you know, the evolved shadow. He gave this 4th version of his anima the name Sophia. Sophia is the Greek goddess of wisdom, I believe, and it really does talk about kind of the best version of what Carl Jung thought a woman could be. So take that as you will. I'll read the actual card itself, but just know that we've been talking about Carl Jung and the anima and animus and shadow quite a lot, and this kind of philosophy, and you've got the philosopher card, and the name Sophia is very, very relevant to that in the best possible way. Actually a very good sign that came through. Okay, Sophia is known as the Greek goddess of wisdom, but in the Jewish mysticism of Kabbalah and the Christian Gnostic tradition, she is considered to be the female part of God. Many consider her to be again exactly like counterpart energy. Many consider her to be the I can't say that word, guys. I'm going to show you. Syzygy, or twin flame of Jesus, making her the Holy Spirit of the Trinity. She is the divine light of God and the soul of the world. In ancient texts, it is written that Sophia fell from heaven and in doing so created the material world. She now works here to help both herself and us return to Source. Sophia is a wonderful guide to work with when we are seeking deeper connection with Source and divine energy, and when you need to remember who you really are. We are all fallen angels just trying to make our way home again. The Oracle, remember your own divinity and your place in the world. You have a right to be here. You are meant to be here. You are an aspect of the divine, a piece of Source having a human experience. And I'll show you that, and you can pause that and have a read of that if you want to. Call on Sophia for assistance with Embody the Energy of Sophia by. And again, if you're watching this and you identify as masculine, I would really strongly encourage you to just have a play around with the idea of embodying the energy of Sophia, especially if you're interested in that kind of philosophy. It doesn't mean you have to start wearing women's clothes, although if that helps you to embrace your inner feminine, go ahead and do so, right? Whatever. Yeah, interesting though, the idea, the concept of we're all yin yang, so therefore we're, I don't know, a balance of the masculine and feminine. Okay, they're helping you with there is always enough. You've also have elephant spirit, learn from the past but don't live in it. Koi fish spirit, there's always enough. 36. My tummy's rumbling a bit, guys. I've got a bit of a funny diet at the moment. I'm sorry if you can hear that. I'm a grazer. I like to eat kind of constantly, but a lot, like little and often. I'm taking my acne medication means that I can't eat 4 hours before I take the tablet and then an hour afterwards. So I have these 5-hour windows where I can't eat. So it's okay in the morning because it's like I've not ate overnight, so I just have to wait an hour for breakfast. But then in the evening, I kind of start to get really hungry. My tummy's like, I'm empty, give me more food. And I'm like, I can't, I have to give you a tablet. The koi fish who grows big, oh, I'm getting patted on the back, hi there. The koi fish who grows big within a small pond reminds us that within each of us is the potential for prosperity. The law of abundance ensures that prosperity is our natural state. So regardless of temporary outer conditions, you can call in prosperity and magnetically attract the opportunities and abundance you need. The message of koi fish spirits is to begin to generate wealth within with deliberate intention, no matter how small your pond may seem, and appreciate abundance whenever you see it. Outer conditions will come to reflect your inner prosperity, so begin to become the self who is comfortable with wealth in all forms. Even if at the moment it feels as if riches are not yours, they soon will be. That's interesting because you started off with this. So again, perhaps this is what you're building energetically, even if it hasn't shown up in the physical realm yet. Start to envision, maybe that's what you're doing, right? This you're opening this portal to envision this. I can't remember where I'm up to, so I'm just going to read. Oh yeah, start to envision the plenty that Spirit wants you to experience, knowing that the moment you begin to commit to conscious and deliberate co-creating, Spirit will joyfully start bringing you what you need. You have so much to offer and so much of value to express to the world. In your little pond, there is much you can do to create and much you can attract. Do not underestimate what you have and who you are, for Koi Fish Spirit wants you to know that you are exquisite, loved, and deeply cherished. Trust that the outer conditions are changing to reflect that truth. Okay, it starts from within us before it starts without. Again, all this stuff about internal work is really important. And Libra had the same thing, so it's really interesting. I hope this reading was super duper helpful to you. I'm also seeing Hummingbird Spirit now, which was a big thing in Leo's reading, I think. It could have been Virgo. Leo or Virgo had this hummingbird business. Let's get you a song to close out your reading, and then I'm going to wish you well and send you on your way, weary traveller. Got a load of notifications to catch up on as well. So Off to the Races was playing, which was one of your songs. Maybe you are going to like a horse race or something. Yes, Tommy. What's going on with Scorpio? Give a song to Scorpio that's going to make sense. Oh, God. Hunt You Down by Kesha. I want to be your baby, your angel all in black, your little blue-eyed gypsy who's always got your back. Yodel, yodel, oh, oh, oh. I want to be your favourite and always by your side. I want to talk forever with babies down the line. But I've got something to tell you first, all right? I'll never hurt nobody. I've never buried a body. I've never killed anyone. I ain't afraid to get a little crazy, baby, when I'm in love. Don't kill anyone, bury any bodies, or hurt anyone. That is obviously not what you should be doing. Laws are laws for a reason. Baby, when I'm in love, you say you've had your fun, but that you're done, and I'm the one. Just know that if you F around, boy, I'll hunt you down. I'm like a little kitty, and I can see at night. I've got eyes like a hawk, babe. Oh my God, it's so Libra. Libra had the panther and the hawk. I'm like a little kitty and I can see at night. I've got eyes like a hawk, babe. I'm watching all the time. But I got a warning for you first, all right? Yeah, I never hurt anybody. I never buried a body. I never killed no one. But I get a bit crazy when I'm in love. Oh my God. You say you've had your fun, but that you're done and I'm the one. Oh, so it's like meeting someone who used to be a player. Just know that if you F around, boy, I'll hunt you down. I can't believe it, night after night. Life is so perfect when you walk the line. Interesting reference. Baby, I love you so much. Don't make me kill you. I've never... Don't kill anyone. Oh my God, that's the Scorpio vengeance. And again, it's okay to feel it. It's not okay to do it. It's okay to feel it and transmute it. Feel it, recognize it, transmute it. Don't do anything stupid. It's a fun song though. It's a fun song to... you know, embrace that shadow part of yourself and in a cathartic way. I'm gonna go. Oh my God. All right. I hope this was helpful to you. Please do take care of yourselves. Don't hunt anyone down. And I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.